Share this message with a single mom to let them know that you are called for more. God is calling you for more. The uncomfortable feeling that you're getting, that lack of fulfillment, baby, God is calling you for more. God taught me this when He called me into entrepreneurship. Single mom is just a title. With God, I have all that I need. God is my source and my resource. I am my father's daughter, and with God, I can do all things. Stop focusing on your circumstances because they won't always be like this. Now, true story, 10 years ago, this was probably one of my lowest times, but 10 years ago, I was working at Defects on welfare, making $235 a month. Now, at this job, I treated this job like it was an actual job because in the Bible, it says you have to work diligently for the Lord. So people were telling me to quit. Some days I got weary, but there was something on the inside of me that said, just keep going. Just keep going. You just never know what will happen. And again, I wanted to quit because $235 do not sound like a lot of money, but God never failed me. Me and my daughter never went lacking. And at that same job where I was working on welfare, God turned that temporary position into a permanent position. Man says I was supposed to be there for 6 months, and God turned it into 6 years. God gave me a breakthrough at that job. He gave me provision to start a clothing boutique for plus size women. I once had low self esteem, and I asked God to help me gain confidence. And I didn't even know that God was going to turn that testimony into a business. And I launched this business in the middle of the pandemic and made $3,000 my first 6 months. God placed me at that job to birth purpose, to do more. There was a feeling that I had every day I clocked in at that job before the business got started. Yes, He took me off of welfare, but I still felt like I was called to do more. And every day I would sit there and I would write in my journal and I would pray to God, God, increase me, help me to do more. I know I'm called to do more. There's something on the inside of me that's yearning for more. So every day I would wake up, I would fix myself up, I would put a smile on my face, I would go to work and work hard, encouraging others when we all was going through it. And God answered my prayers. Every single prayer that I written down, no, it did not look the way I expected it to look, but I expected God to do something in my life. And God changed my life. A single mom who used to be broken, who was broke, who was beaten, who lost her parents and her sister. God turned it all around for me. So I hope that this encourages somebody out there, a single mom that's desiring for more. You are called to do more. That feeling that you have, God is pulling you to push you to do more. I'm going to give you some tips on what helped me transform. So I prayed daily. I told y'all I kept me a pink journal in my drawer. Every single day I would go to work and I would journal. Yes, I work front desk, but I learned how to multitask. We single mama, so of course we learn how to multitask. So not only was I working multiple counties, but I was also talking to God in the midst of me working because this is what drew me closer to Him. This is what healed me. This is how the provision was given to me because I sought the Lord and He heard me and He answered me and He delivered me from my fears. Yes, there were a lot of times where I doubted myself. Yes, there were a lot of times where I tried something business wise and it didn't go the way I wanted it to go, or I wanted to take this route because man said take this route, but God is like, no, I've already given you the provision. I have the plan. Follow me. Do what I'm calling you to do. Don't worry about your resources. I can use what little you have and multiply that. And y'all, He has done that for me. I also shifted my mindset. Mindset is like one of the biggest things next to prayer. Next to praying and having faith, mindset is everything, baby, because if you don't believe in you, who's going to believe in you? I've heard that so many times. And it got me to a place where, listen, don't fake it till you make it. Faith it till you make it. You got to have faith in this thing. Whatever God is calling you to do, you have to have faith to believe that it's going to work out. Everything is going to work out for your good anyway. So you might as well start. You're not going to fail. Psalms 46:5 says, God is within her. She will not fall. You're not going to fail. And if you fall, guess what? You get right back up again. When you fall, you get right back up again a different person because God's plan will always prevail. Shift your mindset. Speak good things into your life. I don't care, like I said, I don't care who walked out on you. I don't care what a man did. I don't care what your family say, what you can't do. With God, all things are possible. Without faith, it is impossible to please God. Ask God to renew your mind every single day. And I promise you, the more you seek God, the more you will grow with Him, the more you will change, and you will see, I can do this. I can do this. I can do this with just me and my daughter. I can do this with the little bit that I have. God increased my finances. So let me step out on faith and invest in something that's going to help me. Get a mentor. Hire a mentor. I hired a mentor. So I worked defects for 6 years. And then once I got uncomfortable and I started getting sick on the job because I wasn't taking care of me, I quit that job and I wanted to go all in on entrepreneurship, but I was still tugging with God. I was still having these fears like, God, what if I fail? God, what if this doesn't work out? Like, yes, I'm making income, but you know how a business is. One month is good, the next month you don't make it anything. The next month is uncertain. The next month you might make $400, $500. So I said, let me find a job that teaches business and I'm in sales. So I got into sales and I worked at that sales job for 2 years. I implemented everything I learned from sales to what God is calling me to do right now, which is build a ministry. But within that job, within working 2 years at that job, I made that company $7 million. That was my very, very first time. I kept giving God a no when He's already promised me a yes. So, girl, I'm telling you, if God is calling you for more, don't think that you're not able to do it, because once He gets you going, you're going to surprise yourself. You're going to shock yourself. You're going to see, well, dang, I can do this. I am able to do this. Let me get on YouTube and learn some of these skills. And a lot of people say make the sacrifice. No, have obedience. Obedience is better than sacrifice. Yes, there are some days where it's going to be sleepless nights because you're going to be, researching on the thing that God is calling you to do or putting things into practice. But obedience matters. Obedience is better than sacrifice. I even made God a vow this month. Like, God, I gotta lock in on YouTube, bro. Like, there's so many things that you have given me, and I don't want to waste time no more just sitting here dreaming when I can become who you called me to become. I hope you picking up what I'm putting down. And go out there and look for inspiration. Follow these entrepreneurs who are doing what you want to do. Or if you're going back to school, get on YouTube and start learning, start implementing. You going to school to be a nurse? Get on YouTube and learn some things so that when you get in the classroom, you already know. I tell my child this all the time. It's better to be prepared than to show up and not be prepared. So you might as well just start doing it now. Start doing the thing now. Even if you don't have the money to invest, YouTube is free. You can always get up here and learn anything. I'm telling y'all, I am the first person in my family to own two businesses. I've owned a plus size business, and now I'm doing this ministry where I am empowering single moms and women to grow with God, draw closer to God, and become the woman that He is calling us all to be. It is possible to change your life, but it is impossible to not have faith and to not do it with God. Also, think about your why. Think about, why do you want to do this? Like, I know you have that burning feeling, that desiring feeling. God is calling you to do more, but think of your why. Every time you give God a no, you also have a yes in the back of your mind. Like, God has blessed me with a daughter. I'm gonna use me for example. God has blessed me with a daughter. Okay. When I was in the hospital, the day when I had my daughter, I held my daughter in my arms and I said this silent prayer, but I said, God, I pray to change my life around. Full 360. I said those words in that hospital. And I kid you not, yes, I had to go through some hardships for those first 2, 3 years. And that was okay because God was still doing a new thing on the inside of me. Even though old things were passing away, even though I was still dealing with grief, my mama passing away and my lights being cut off 4 times in 2014, God was still making a way for me and my child. What felt like one of my lowest seasons is now a testimony. You have to have a test in order to have a testimony. So never think that what you're going through is meant to hurt you, but it's meant to help you on your journey, because What you're going through is not just for you, it's for somebody else too. God has so much more in store for you. I know that long suffering is a fruit of the spirit, but you are not called to live in survival mode your whole life. You are not called to live. I'm going to say that again. You are not called to live in survival mode your entire life. You and your children deserve to see new experiences, better experiences. I don't care what the economy is looking like. I don't care what they're doing up there in the House, in the Senate, wherever they at. They can't do what my God do. Okay? So whatever he is calling you to do, whoever he is calling you to be, he's calling you to be a better version of yourself. Right now, you thank God for where you're at right now. But keep going. Do not hinder your growth. Do not wrestle with God where he's already given you a promise. God has already given you a promise that will not fail. Man may fail you because man has failed me. Sometimes I feel like I have failed myself, but God will never fail you. Grow into the woman who God is calling you to be. Do the things that He's calling you to do. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, you are going to have to learn and unlearn so many things that have been passed down from generation to generation. God chose you to break those cycles. God chose you to birth purpose. God chose you to build not just generational wealth, baby, but freedom. Freedom to grow with him, freedom to live with him. Everybody always say, well, God gives us free will every day. He does. God doesn't give us free will to trust in man. God gives us free will to trust in him, have faith in him. This is a daily walk that I'm doing with him, a daily walk that I have to surrender to him. Not my will, but his, because I want his will to be done. My will may look different. My will may be smaller. They may be smaller for what God's will is. Even the things that you're praying for right now, that they're smaller than what God has for you. You don't even know. But you'll never know if you don't get started. You'll never know if you continue to hinder. You'll never know if you continue to give him excuses and yourself excuses why you can't do what he's already instilled inside of you to do. I'm just sharing my testimony with y'all. A single mom, grew up in poverty, dealt with so much fear and insecurities. I dealt with physical abuse from the child's father. All of those things helped me become who God created me to be today. Yes, the enemy tried to kill, steal, and destroy, but it still did not work. I'm still here. God still has a plan and a purpose over my life. I'm an author now. That is crazy. Everything that I've been through, God turned it all around for me. God has blown my mind so much. Once I surrendered everything to Him, once I drew closer to Him in 2015, when I had that encounter, y'all gonna get tired of me because I'm gonna keep talking about this encounter, because had it not been for that encounter, I would have never grown with God. But that encounter changed my life forever, because I asked God, God, come into my life, come into my heart, renew me, renew the right spirit within me. I'm tired of being sick and tired of being sick and tired of doing what I'm doing. I'm not ungrateful, but I know that I'm called to do more. And once I prayed that prayer, it was like a suddenly prayer. God just started turning things around for me. Man said, you're not supposed to be in this position, but God said, I'm going to use you at your lowest to elevate you to your highest. So wherever you are right now, believe that that's your holy ground. That is your holy ground. God is doing a new thing in you. You have to wait a little while. You have to work a little bit harder. You have to be with God and just be in a season with him to grow. But best believe that everything is working out for your good. God has given me the ability to travel with my daughter, create a healthy relationship. That's my girl. That's my world. I love her so much. I'm not just an entrepreneur. I'm working for God. I stopped saying that I'm unemployed. Man kept telling me to find a job. Family kept telling me, well, you got to get a job. You got to think about your baby. Me and my baby are already secured when we are in the hands of God. Okay, I never want to step outside God's will anymore for the rest of my life, because I have seen that in spite of my calamity, he still had a plan for me. He has given me the ability to be an author. I have my very first book. Every single thing that I have been through, I've talked about it in this book how God has turned my life around. And I know if He did it for me, He could do it for you. If He did it then, He could do it again. You just got to make the first move. Even if you make a mistake, God will still put you back on the right path. Again, God has a plan for you. God is calling you to do more. Single mom, you are not just a single mom, you are God's child. And with God, you have all that you need. Psalms 23 and 1 says, "The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything that I need." God is my shepherd. I lack nothing. I'm giving you different versions so that you will know that whatever you're going through, God is still there for you, with you, by your side, healing you on the inside, picking you up even when you don't have the strength to keep going. God is there with you. I renounce, denounce, reject, and rebuke everything that the enemy is trying to set out in your mind and in front of you. God's plan will fulfill over your life. Oh, and I also want to say this before I even end this video. Stop worrying about your baby daddy. Okay? Stop worrying about him. Put him in God's hands. That's going to be your best bet. Stop worried about him. All right? Because, see, this is something that God had to teach me when I used to have so much anger and hurt and resentment. And even once upon a time, I had hate, but I had to go to God and ask God to forgive me because I did not like the version that was being created. But you have to ask God to forgive you. You have to forgive yourself. You have to know that in spite of, God still has a plan. And you have to forgive that man who hurt you. Yes, it's going to take some time. Yes, a thought may come up and you may get mad again. But baby, you take captive of those thoughts and you draw closer to God and you leave that man in God's hands. You leave your children in God's hands. Even if you have issues with your children right now, you surrender everything to God. Everything to God. Do not settle. I'm gonna be so honest with y'all. My mama told me to settle. This was before she passed away, and I was pregnant, and I think I found out that my child's father was cheating on me, and my mama told me to settle. She was like, "Well, Courtney, I mean, I'm just listening to her like, are you listening to yourself? You telling me to settle? Mm-mm, 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 mm-mm. Nah, baby, we don't do that. We don't do that. Mm-mm. I had to make a decision, not a choice, but a decision. When I kept going back to him, even after my mama had passed away, even when he left me on the day of her funeral, I had to make a decision. Do you want to continue to live like this? Do you want your daughter to see her mama settling and she think it's okay for her to settle? Do you want this to happen? No. Mm-mm. So I had to ask the Lord to remove him and to heal me and to deliver me from my old patterns, from my choices, from anything that was hindering my growth. Help me to let him go. So I pray right now, if you are holding on to that hurt, if you think that that's the best that you can get, no, baby, mm-mm, mm-mm. Leave that man alone. When you leave that man alone, watch and see how God increase you. I'm telling you, it is so mind blowing. Once I left him alone, like fully, I left him alone. That's when God started opening doors for me. I told y'all I was on welfare, and when I was on welfare, I was dealing with him, and he was abusing me physically and mentally. But when I left him, that's when God just started opening doors. I got a car, boom. I got a full-time job, boom. I started feeling confident, dressing up, boom. Like just so many things. Started traveling. So many things were working out for my good, but I had to let go of toxicity. And not just in the physical, but also in the spiritual. Because I'm not perfect myself. So I pray to God that he heals you and you be open to his healing. You be open to everything that he has in store for you, spiritually, mentally, physically, financially. But believe that God has a plan. If you feel that tug, if you feel that calling, then that's your confirmation that God is calling you to do more. God is a consistent father. God is a loving father. God is a gentle father. Not only will he take care of your babies, but he will take care of you. And you see he been taking care of you, so you might as well just leave that man alone. Break the cycle and birth purpose with God. And remember, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. My name is Courtney. I love y'all. I pray that this encourages y'all to keep going and do that thing that God is calling you to do. Be that woman God is calling you to be. Every day when you get up, that's a stepping stone right there. You just got to keep going, baby. You just got to keep going. Share this with someone who needs encouragement. It doesn't even have to be a single mama. I specifically made this for a single mom because y'all need to hear this. God did it for me. He could do it for you. All right. Be encouraged. I love y'all. Have a great day. Bye.